can bath and get herself up, but that's as far as she can go. So she very often can't come downstairs, and we can't.
What does it do to you? Did you believe it?
Yes, I did, because
you understood. You weren't at any stage saying, "Come on, get out of bed or get out."
No, she's not like that. It's not her personality. She does as much as she can now. She's always thinking of something she can do, but she's had to give up everything. She can't even sew now because her shoulders are too painful, and it's affected our life because I've had to give up a lot to look after her. I don't resent that. It's not a burden, but how long is this going to go on for? We can't plan anything. If we plan something, we never know whether she's going to be well enough to be able to do it. Whether if I want to go out anywhere, I've got to make sure that she's provided for, that she's able to come downstairs and get something, or I've got to take it all up there and it's got to be ready for her. Because one of the problems is the isolation and the social side of it. She can't get out. When you've been ill for this long, people, I mean, her friends have been very good, but
no one can understand. No one can understand unless they're there. You often can look quite good. I mean, you look brilliant. Yeah, I know I'm 80% now better, and there's a lot of hope, and that's really what I want to say to people. Please don't give up. It's a very, very difficult illness. It's not perhaps any worse than many illnesses, but the reason that it's awful is you don't get support. You're isolated.
How long have you been ill?
6 years.
What's been the effect?
Same as what Nikki said, basically, that going from having a young wife, sporty, social, involved in everything, suddenly, virtually overnight, to having a flu, which never ended, you know, and she went from not being able to walk up the stairs. As far as we were concerned, you know, it just turned our life upside down. She couldn't do anything around the house. She couldn't really do anything. She didn't want to do anything.
Well, I did want to, but your body is just not able to function. Your head, your mind, your emotions, everything is devastated. No one understands this because when they look at you, I'm very lucky now. I can.
You look all right, my love.
I know.
You look a bit more than all right.
I am.
You're saying she's changed through. She's vivacious and...
Yes, sure.
What she said, she was a granny for a long time. You know, from...
What, you mean she behaved like a granny?
She just went...
Yes, sure.
What she said, she was a granny for a long time. You know, from...
What, you mean she behaved like a granny?
She just went...
I have no energy.
Unfortunately, from a vibrant young lady.
What I do.
She's back now, almost back with us.
You have the joint pains, you have the confusion.
No one understands. She said so many times that she wished she had an illness.
Because no one is willing to sit and... We don't want
sympathy. It's not just the problem that you have all these difficulties.
It's not like another illness. You have that, but on top of that you have the isolation, you have misunderstanding, you have people looking sideways at you if you dare to say ME. And you see it cross their face, they back off, even nurses, even doctors. My doctor said, Sandra, you're over 40. You will slow up, dear. I'm crawling up the stairs. I run it. I mean, I'm getting back, and that's really important. I really want people to understand that.
What about who?
People who had multiple sclerosis had all this. I mean, they were sent to psychiatrists, weren't they? And now, of course, it's accepted that although, as far as I know, I'm not a doctor, but I've been told there is no test for multiple sclerosis. And yet people don't say, oh dear, you can't possibly have something called multiple sclerosis, you better go to a psychiatrist.
How long have you been ill?
8 years, and I'm a lot stronger now, as you can see.
Did you carry on working?
For a while, I was a head teacher for 9 years, and for about 4 to 5 of those years, I had ME. I brought a bed into school. I got my mother to help me to get to school in a taxi. Somebody helped me up the path. Somebody opened the door. I had a bed in my office to lie on to open the mail, and what I didn't know at the time was I shouldn't have been doing any of that because nobody said to me, you should take a year off. For all I know, I might still have been able to be a head teacher if I hadn't have done all that fighting. It was the wrong sort of fighting. You have to be much more cunning.
My daughter was 8 when it started, and she doesn't have a say in going into school or whatever. And so they're saying she doesn't like school. You know, she's ill. One headmaster said to Sarah, nothing wrong with Sarah. She doesn't like school. So I, as a mother, I'll be honest, you know, it's a dreadful, dreadful thing, and I think somebody else who hears this must know they've done the same, screaming at her, you're going to school, screaming at her, threw in the clothes, you get dressed, you're going. And she said, I'm too ill, you're going.
How old is your daughter now?
She's 12 and a half now.
Well, before you go home today, get from me a copy of Guidelines for Schools. Which
I've got them all.
You have.
This is in the primary school.
because we've got Guidelines for Schools. Essex Education Authority have sent them out. Humberside have
Did
sent
you
them
tell your
out.
mum to go to school?
No. I was actually very,
You
very
didn't
lucky.
throw her clothes at her and say, get out there, woman, and go to school. And teach her,
I was...
Did you?
Shut up. Yeah, no, I was very, very lucky.
Your people do a lot of talking, don't they? You noticed.
I was very, very lucky because I was 15 at the time Mum got very ill. And I had to do O-levels and A-levels, and I was wanting to go to university. And we just moved out of the house and living with my grandmother. And she basically looked after Mum, who was in bed almost the whole time. And if she hadn't been there, I don't know if I could have carried on with my schooling or gone to university. It was terrible.
What was the impact upon you?
I actually can't remember very much about what happened. I think it's actually been wiped out from my mind. I cannot remember what happened.
Do you feel guilty? I'm not suggesting that you should. I didn't think you would. I didn't. No,
I did.
No, I'll tell you why. I would. Of course you did.
Yes, I did. Because
Why did you react like that?
because I was being
really normal.
defensive.
But you're an intelligent person. You know that it's a natural thing, even though we know it's not our fault and we're not in any responsible. And several of you shouted the same. Why should you? But you do feel guilty.
Yes,
you're
of course
imposing
you do.
pressures on people you
Yes.
love.
Well, I
Through no
feel
fault
guilty about it.
And you feel guilty too.
Well, no, I mean, there was I mean, I was doing O-levels and A-levels and going to university and all the rest of it, and I was thinking, well, perhaps I should be back here. And yet when I was back there, if something was wrong, I couldn't really do anything about it. There was nothing I could find to do to
How
help.
does that affect your relationship? You must have had some.
We talked
now
about it. We talked about it. That's the only way to get through
Do you
this.
feel guilty?
No, I just feel very angry that people just dismiss it as fragments of your imagination when it's not.
You have to apologise. I'm sorry I can't do this, but I just can't do it. And if you have a good relationship anyway, it will survive something, as Jeff.
I feel guilty, although I know it's not my fault that I'm ill, it's not my fault, but I do feel that my parents now can't go on holiday, they should be free, I was at university, they shouldn't be looking after me like a school child.
How old are you?
21, I was at university before I
So
became
if you're
ill.
feeling like that, however, and we all know that it's silly to feel like that, but we do that in part of our everyday life with all our relations. We also know that it affects, therefore, the relationship. Do you worry sometimes that your mum, dad's attitude to you, even though you know in your heart they're not, is coloured by the way you feel guilty?
No, I don't think that. I mean, I know that they love me. I know that they want to look after me. But I just feel sometimes I'm not getting in the way. But I shouldn't be there. I should be out, and I shouldn't be stopping Mum's life. She should be out doing what she wants to do, not being looking after me.
I'm trying very hard to reassure her that this is a family problem, that we love her and we need her to be in our family if she's ill.
But you have to change your lifestyle.
But we
as a
have to
family.
change our lifestyle, and
that-
it's not her problem, it's a family problem. It's come and affected us all.
Is there recovery, Nikki? Are you optimistic?
Yeah, you've got to be optimistic. I know
recover from this?
Well, I know my wife's got a great spirit, and I think, as I said earlier on, hopefully it goes out the back door as the same way as it came in the front one. And you've got to have that hope, and that's what that lady said there is the most wonderful thing. You're all together in it, whether it's a family situation or whatever. And I feel sorry for people out there who might be on their own, Ross.
So, but what do you do after, in my daughter's case? I mean, I wish she could be here to speak for herself, but she's desperately ill, as I said, and what do you do when 3 years on into the illness, when your life is taken away, your dignity is taken away, because one can't even sit in a bath, not because of exhaustion or pain or all of those symptoms, but because the mere feeling of water makes them so desperately sick, makes them so dizzy, like they're spinning into a hole. I mean, how do you keep hoping? How do you keep hoping when you phone a doctor and they say, well, we can't do anything. We can't help
keep
it.
hope
What
alive?
do we do?
I know you're not a doctor, Michael, but you're the next best thing.
I find all this very depressing, because we've had none of the positive aspects. Most people with ME get better. Very few people with ME are as severely ill as some of the people that we've heard about
So
today.
what happens to
those that
those?
are, it's terrible for.
So what did you say?
What happens to those? What happens to children like my daughter?
Well,
whose
that's
life
what the
is taken
research is all
away?
about, and that's why we need the research. But for most people with ME,